The air is sharp, carrying the quiet hiss of winter through bare trees. The Monon High Bridge stands tall and weathered, its skeletal wooden beams stretching over a deep frozen ravine. It is a relic of another time, an old railroad track long abandoned, but still a place where teenagers chase adventure and couples wander for photographs. Two girls walk along it now, Liberty German and Abigail Williams. Liberty is filming on her phone. Her breath fogs in the cold, and you can hear the faint creak of the wooden planks beneath their boots. Her friend Abby is just ahead, balancing carefully over the gaps between the beams. They laugh nervously, but in that laughter is a hint of unease, the way you feel when you sense you're being watched. And then footsteps, slow, heavy, deliberate. From behind them, a figure approaches. He is dressed in blue jeans and navy jacket, a cap pulled low over his forehead. The man's face is shadowed unreadable, but the way he moves, it's purposeful, predatory. Liberty discreetly tilts her phone, recording without turning around. The camera wobbles with each step. A man's voice cuts the air, calm, commanding, cold. Down the hill. The words hang there for a second too long. The screen shakes. The girls move, but there's nowhere to go. Just rotting wood, open air, and the long drop beneath the bridge. And then everything fades to black. That morning, Delphi, Indiana, was like any other small-town Monday. Just over 3,000 people live here, a place where neighbors still wave, church bells still ring, and life moves at the pace of the cornfields that surround it. But the thing about small towns is they can make you feel safe. Safe enough to forget that danger doesn't need a city to find you. The girls didn't have school that day. It was a scheduled snow makeup day, but winter had been mild and classes were canceled. That meant freedom, a rare weekday where they could sleep in, watch videos, or, as they decided, explore the Monon High Bridge Trail. At 12:30 p.m., Liberty's older sister dropped them off near the trailhead. It was chilly, but the sky was clear. The girls were dressed for the weather, jeans, sweatshirts, jackets. They carried no fear. Abby had just turned 13. She loved photography, music, and was a little more shy than Liberty. Liberty, 14, was outgoing, quick to laugh, and fiercely protective of her friends. The two had been inseparable for years, their bond obvious in every candid photo, every inside joke. They weren't going far, just a walk, a few pictures, maybe some Snapchat posts. Nothing dangerous. Not here, not in Delphi. The Monon High Bridge is beautiful and unsettling, nearly a century old. It stretches 63 feet over Deer Creek. The wooden beams have warped with age, and there are gaps wide enough to make your stomach tighten when you look down. No railings, no safety net. For a lot of kids, it's a rite of passage to cross it. The thrill of danger without really thinking it's dangerous. At around 2:07 p.m., Liberty posts a Snapchat photo of Abby standing on the bridge, her hair blowing in the wind, the creek glinting below. Somewhere in that moment, a stranger steps onto the bridge behind them. The truth is, evil doesn't announce itself. It doesn't scream or flash warning signs. It blends in. It looks ordinary. It walks down the same trail as you. It waits until you're in just the right place, where you're alone, exposed, cut off from help. And on that Monday afternoon, the perfect place was an abandoned railroad bridge in the woods. At first, they might have thought nothing of it. People hike here all the time. Maybe they heard footsteps and assumed it was just another walker. But with each slow step, the man got closer. Liberty, holding her phone low, begins to record, a decision that will later make her a hero, even if it couldn't save her life. In the footage, you can hear the creak of the bridge, the rustle of winter branches. The man's voice is steady, almost casual when he finally speaks. Guys, down the hill. Just 4 words, but they carry the weight of something irreversible. This is where the line is crossed, where two friends on a carefree afternoon become prey, where the world they knew, the one with school dances and group chats and volleyball games, is about to be shattered into something cold, brutal, and final. Imagine standing there. The only way forward is a stranger blocking your path. The only way back is a 63-foot drop into icy water. The air feels heavier, each breath tighter. The man gestures, moving them toward the end of the bridge, where the trail slopes downward. And somewhere deep inside, they must have known, this isn't just a walk. This is the beginning of something they won't come back from. They step off the last beam of the bridge, boots crunching into the dirt of the trail below. Behind them, the man follows. The creek murmurs quietly nearby, almost mocking in its normalcy. And then the recording cuts. We don't see what happens next. Not yet. The video ends and silence takes over. Somewhere beyond that bridge, the girls are led away. The winter light begins to dim, shadows stretching long across the trail. Deer Creek keeps running, indifferent. No one sees what happens next. Not in real time. The next voices that call their names won't hear an answer. By 3:15 p.m., Liberty's father is at the pickup spot, the same place her sister dropped them off hours earlier. The girls aren't there. He waits a little, thinking maybe they lost track of time. Calls go unanswered. Texts stay unread. The minutes stretch too long. That familiar parental instinct, the one that always tells you when something isn't right, begins to burn in his chest. By 4 p.m., family members are walking the trails, calling their names into the cold air. The sound of boots crunching over frozen ground is met with nothing but the wind. At first it feels impossible. These trails are short. The town is small. This is the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where if two kids were in trouble, someone would see them. But as the sun drops lower, the unease sharpens into fear. By 5:30 p.m., calls go out to more friends and relatives. People grab flashlights, stomp into the woods, fan out along the creek banks. By 6 p.m., the Carroll County Sheriff's Office is contacted. It's dark now. The temperature is dropping fast. Flashlights bob between trees, cutting thin beams through the branches. Voices echo overlapping. Libby, Abby, still nothing. By 10 p.m., the official search is suspended for the night. Authorities reason that the girls are likely lost or injured, but not in immediate danger. Tomorrow, they'll resume with fresh light and more manpower. But the families, they don't sleep. Morning brings daylight and a grim determination. Search teams assemble, including police, fire crews, and dozens of volunteers. Not long after noon, the searchers make a discovery less than half a mile from the bridge. 2 bodies. The exact details of their positioning will never be made public, but investigators describe it as not normal. Something staged, something deliberate. The girls are gone. Valentine's Day in Delphi will never be about flowers or candy again. For the families, for the searchers, for the entire town, it will forever be the day they learned how cruel the world could be. News travels fast here. By that evening, the case is no longer just a local tragedy. It's a national story. 2 young girls murdered in broad daylight in a public space, in a town where nothing like this had ever happened. But even more shocking is what police reveal next. Liberty's phone didn't just record a photo. It recorded video. 3 days after the discovery, police release a grainy still from Libby's phone. A man walking toward the camera on the bridge. Blue jeans, a navy jacket, a brown cap. His head is down, his hands in his pockets. Then they release a short audio clip. Down the hill. The same words we heard before. It's only 3 seconds long, but those seconds are enough to chill anyone who hears them. This isn't a recording from some security camera far away. This is the killer's voice, captured as he approached his victims. In that moment, Liberty became more than a victim. She became a witness, even in death. Her decision to hit record gave investigators the most important piece of evidence in the case. But the man in the video, still, no one recognizes him. Or, at least, no one comes forward to admit they do. Over the months, police released not 1, but 2 composite sketches. The first shows an older-looking man with a goatee, late 40s to 50s. The second, released in 2019, is drastically different. A clean-shaven man appearing much younger, possibly in his 20s or 30s. The shift in images sparks confusion. Did the suspect disguise himself? Did police have new witnesses? Or are there 2 men? Authorities won't say. The people of Delphi start locking doors they never locked before. Parents walk their kids to school instead of letting them bike. Every man who vaguely resembles the sketch is quietly watched, whispered about, or reported. Tips pour in by the thousands. Sightings, names, rumors. The FBI gets involved. Still, years pass. No arrests. No answers. The killer is still out there. What makes this case so haunting isn't just the brutality of it. It's the boldness. A man walked onto a public trail in daylight, abducted 2 girls, and vanished, leaving only a blurred image and a few words behind. And somehow, for years, no one could find him. In October 2022, more than 5 years after the murders, police finally announced an arrest. Richard Allen, a 50-year-old Delphi resident who had lived in the town for years. According to investigators, Allen had admitted to being on the bridge that day. Witnesses allegedly placed him near the scene, and ballistic evidence reportedly linked his firearm to an unspent bullet found near the bodies. Still, Allen maintains his innocence, and the full details of the prosecution's case remain sealed. The trial, delayed multiple times, has yet to begin, meaning that for the families, justice remains just out of reach. 7 years have passed since Liberty German and Abigail Williams took their last walk across the Monon High Bridge. Their story is now etched into the DNA of Delphi, a reminder that even the smallest, safest towns can be touched by darkness. Somewhere between the gaps of those wooden planks and the quiet bend of Deer Creek lies a truth that still hasn't fully surfaced. And until it does, the echo of that voice will remain. Down the hill, Halloween night in Delphi feels different this year. The leaves have already fallen, leaving the branches bare against a bruised autumn sky. Kids in costumes walk hand in hand with parents, their laughter carrying faintly on the wind. Porch lights glow orange, jack-o'-lanterns grin, and yet behind the candy and costumes there's another conversation, quieter but sharper. Did you hear? They finally arrested someone. The name hangs in the air like a shadow. Richard Allen, a 50-year-old CVS pharmacy worker, a man who printed their family photos, rang up their cough syrup, stood behind the counter just like any other small-town neighbor. To some, he was nothing more than the guy who smiled politely and asked if they wanted their receipt. To others, he was a ghost, someone they barely noticed even though he lived right there, in plain sight, for all these years. And now he's the accused killer of Liberty German and Abigail Williams. For the families, the arrest is a strange mix of relief and devastation. Relief that after 5 long years there's finally a name. Devastation because a name doesn't bring the girls back. And the reality of a trial, of hearing the details out loud, of seeing evidence laid bare, is almost as heavy as the years of waiting. But before we move forward, we have to go back to what happened in Delphi in the years between the murders and that October arrest. In the months after the murders, Delphi felt like a town frozen in place. The trails near the Monon High Bridge became ghost paths, the kind of place you avoided, even in daylight. Flyers with the suspect's image were stapled to telephone poles, taped to gas station windows, pinned to bulletin boards inside diners. The words "down the hill" were replayed endlessly in news broadcasts, podcasts, YouTube videos. At night, some residents swore they heard noises in the woods, a branch breaking, a voice carried by the wind. Rational minds said it was animals or the highway, but for many, it didn't matter. Delphi no longer felt safe. The FBI's tip line was swamped. Every week brought new possible matches. Men in neighboring towns, ex-boyfriends, strangers caught walking down a road. People reported coworkers, neighbors, even family members. And while most tips went nowhere, each one had to be checked. That meant knocking on doors at midnight, interviewing people at their jobs, collecting DNA swabs, analyzing alibis. It also meant rumors. So many rumors. With so few details released, the vacuum filled itself. Theories multiplied online. On Reddit, Facebook, YouTube. Some users claimed to know someone inside the investigation. Others claimed the case involved multiple perpetrators, or a ritualistic killing, or even law enforcement corruption. Each theory carried a kernel of possibility, and each one deepened the paranoia. The case became an obsession for true crime communities. People dissected every frame of the video, analyzing the suspect's gait, his posture, the way his jacket bunched at the shoulders. Some tried to match his voice against public interviews with locals. Others slowed the footage, filtered it, sharpened it, looking for hidden clues. But for the families, this constant public speculation was a double-edged sword. On one hand, more eyes meant more chances for a break. On the other, it meant strangers picking apart the girls' final moments for clicks. 2 years into the investigation, police shocked everyone. At a press conference, they unveiled a new sketch, drastically different from the one released in 2017. This new bridge guy looked younger, cleaner, almost boyish. And the announcement came with cryptic warnings from investigators. We believe you are hiding in plain sight. We believe you have close connections to Delphi. For many, this felt like a reset button, as if the last 2 years of assumptions had been wrong. For others, it was a gut punch. Because if the killer was younger, maybe they'd been talking to him all along without knowing. By the 3rd year, frustration boiled over. Families pushed for answers in interviews. Some locals whispered that the case had gone cold. Police insisted it hadn't. COVID-19 only slowed things further. The trail stayed quiet, the tip line stayed open, but the silence from law enforcement was deafening. And then out of nowhere, 2022 brought a break. Richard Allen wasn't on most people's radar. Police alleged that on February 13, 2017, he was on a trail and admitted it to investigators. They say witnesses placed him near the girls, that an unspent bullet found near the crime scene matched a gun registered to him. When they searched his home, they reportedly found items that may connect to the murders. But much of the evidence remained sealed, leaving the public to fill in the gaps with their own guesses. What haunts people most isn't just what Allen is accused of. It's that he lived among them the entire time, worked at CVS, went to the same grocery stores, saw the flyers with his own face on them, and said nothing for 5 years. Now, Delphi sits on the edge of a trial that could finally answer the questions that have gnawed at it since 2017. But Allen's defense has already claimed he's being framed. They've hinted at alternate suspects. They've even suggested the crime had elements too disturbing to release to the public. The prosecution, for its part, says it has more evidence than anyone realizes. And somewhere in between these two sides lies the truth. The thing about cases like this is the closer you think you are to the end, the more the shadows seem to move. The Monon High Bridge is still there, weathered and silent. Deer Creek still runs beneath it, carrying the echoes of a winter day in 2017 when 2 girls walked into the woods and never came home. And for all the arrests, all the theories, all the press conferences, one question still feels unanswered. Was it really just one man? 7 years have passed since Liberty German and Abigail Williams took their last walk across the Monon High Bridge. 7 years since that grainy video. 7 years since those words, "down the hill," seared themselves into the memory of an entire town. And now in 2025, the stage is finally set for a trial. But trials are not just about facts. They're about stories. And the story the defense is preparing to tell is unlike anything anyone expected. The courthouse in Carroll County is small, the kind of place where you can hear the wood creak under your feet, where the smell of paper and coffee hangs in the air. But when the doors open for hearings in this case, it feels more like a siege. Reporters flood the benches. Sketch artists sharpen their pencils. Locals lean forward, listening for anything that might finally explain the last 7 years. Richard Allen enters in a rumpled jumpsuit, shackles clinking. His face is pale, his hair thinner than before, his expression unreadable. He doesn't look like the grainy bridge guy photo, but maybe that's the point. From the start, Allen's defense team has been aggressive, framing him as a scapegoat caught in a flawed investigation. They hint at ritual elements at the crime scene, claiming the girls' bodies were staged in a way that suggests a group with dark motives. They point to rumors of a secret network, a cult-like element, and possible law enforcement connections. They demand access to every tip, every lead, every piece of evidence, arguing that the real killer or killers are still out there. For the families, these claims are like ripping open a wound that never healed. To hear their daughter's deaths described in terms of ritual or conspiracy isn't just painful, it's surreal. For the town, it reignites whispers that never really died. People start looking at each other differently again. The prosecution pushes back hard. They insist the evidence against Allen is strong, direct, and damning. They have the bullet, they have witness statements, they have Allen's own admission of being on the bridge that day. They say they can prove he was the last person to see the girls alive. But when pressed about the alleged ritual elements, they go quiet. They don't deny it outright, and that silence is loud. Large portions of the case file remains sealed from the public. Only a handful of people have seen all of it. Rumors swirl about photographs that will never be released, about objects found near the bodies that could change the entire narrative, about coded messages hidden in plain sight. Some say the truth is too disturbing, that releasing it would only fuel hysteria. Others believe keeping it hidden protects more than just the public's peace of mind. While awaiting trial, Alan has reportedly written letters to friends and family. Some describe him as frightened, paranoid. He claims he's being targeted by guards, that his life is in danger inside the jail. In one letter, he allegedly hints that he's not the only one who should be sitting in this cell. The letter ends with a line that investigators have never confirmed nor denied. You've walked past him. You've shaken his hand. He smiles at you every Sunday. Whether Alan is lying, deflecting, or telling the truth, no one can say for certain. But the idea that someone else could still be out there, living among them, blending in just as Alan allegedly did, has the people of Delphi locking their doors again. In a leaked court filing, one small, easily overlooked detail catches the attention of those who read it closely. The unspent bullet, the one allegedly linking Alan to the scene, was found not near the girls, but somewhere else entirely. Somewhere that, if true, could mean the killer wasn't alone that day. If that's real, it changes everything. The question isn't just who killed Liberty and Abigail anymore. It's who's still out there?